What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist Josh Cribbs, Cleveland legend. If you want the best Browns content on YouTube, I'm told subscribe to DF Sports. Listen, you got to find out for yourself, but I was told, heard it to the grapevine. DF Sports is the way to go. All right, y'all go check it out. Go Dogs. Hoo, hoo, hoo.
You heard the man. If you want some of the best Cleveland Browns content on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. So Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com was in the news today. Every major sports media outlet talking about this today. The news that J.J. Watt is reportedly seriously considering signing with the Cleveland Browns following his release of the Houston Texans. Now, this is what frustrates me about major sports media outlets. So you have your Colin Cowherds of the world who, before Kevin Durant signed with the Warriors, say, oh, there's no chance. No way. And then it happens, and then he tries to take credit like he saw it all along. But you now have every major sports media outlet, as well as your independents, like your Pat McAfee shows and whatnot, as well as other YouTube channels, talking as if this is completely ridiculous and why would J.J. Watt even remotely consider signing with the Cleveland Browns? This is ridiculous. This is the problem I have with these people. They do this constantly, where there's a story that comes out, they read the headline, and that's it. Everybody's talking about J.J. Watt to the Browns. Why? It's such an insane thing. Nobody's taking it seriously. But nobody is reading the full story. So Mary Kay releases this statement, and, us Browns fans, we hate the media here. They do a terrible job, most of them. You have a certain group that do a great job, and it's unfortunate that they have to deal with this. But the Cleveland media market is rough, to say the least. And one of the most criticized people is Mary Kay Cabot. And certainly, yes, rightly so. But in all fairness to Mary Kay, the people reading this story today are not reading the full story. They are reading headlines. And that's the problem with the sports media industry, media as a whole. People read headlines. And, within first few seconds of reading a headline, you create your own opinion on it. You don't read the full story first. And I think that's a major problem with people today. So to give Mary Kay some credit, let's actually read the full story and then make our opinion on it. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. So the full story goes on to say that J.J. Watt is seriously considering the Cleveland Browns. The reasons is because the Cleveland Browns check all boxes that Watt is seeking in a new team, a Super Bowl contender with cap space, a strong supporting cast, and a positive environment. It also goes on to say the Browns front office reached out as soon as he became available on Friday following his release. So people don't read the full story. They think, why would anybody want to go to Cleveland? Well, he just stated his reasons. And if you actually break it down, okay, he wants to go to a contender. Well, the Cleveland Browns went 11-5, went to the playoffs, and won a playoff game. Check. They're a contender. Now, we can talk about that, but here's how I look at that. You have a first-year head coach in Kevin Stefanski, new offense, new defense, new GM, weird offseason. You don't have a bunch of time to establish your offense and establish these things that are very important. And you still come out and you have this much success in year one. So when you look at it from that standpoint, are the Cleveland Browns a contender? Yes, and it sounds crazy to say, but we got to stop pretending like the Browns are not contenders. So that's the first box. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. Cap space. The Cleveland Browns can offer J.J. Watt something that a lot of teams can't. A good football team that has proven that they can win, but they also have the money. A lot of these teams that people immediately write down J.J. Watt to don't actually look into it. They look at the name. They look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and they say, oh, yep, Watt to KC. They look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they say J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt, and Derek Watt. But they don't look at the money. You look at Tampa Bay. You see Super Bowl champs. But you don't look into the money in the cap space. People love to read headlines. They love to just immediately put names with faces. That's not how the NFL works. And if that was how the NFL works, Deshaun Watson would be going to the New Orleans Saints. But they're another team that has no cap. So when you look at all this, and another thing, the positive environment. What did I tell you? New head coach, new GM, new culture. That is the biggest difference from this Browns team last year to the year before under Freddie Kitchens. There's structure, there's accountability, there is a new culture. And this is just year one. And hopefully that's just going to get better and better. So, reportedly, the reason why he wants to go to Cleveland is because it checks all these boxes. Now, let's talk about more what Cleveland can offer for J.J. Watt, or offer to J.J. Watt. You can offer him that you can play opposite of Myles Garrett, who is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, a guy who is dominant, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So if you're J.J. Watt, you think, okay, I'm getting up there. I'm coming down to my last however many years I have left. I want to get the most out of my career that I can. How do you do that? You play opposite of another monster. You look at Jadeveon Clowney when he played opposite of J.J. Watt in Houston. That's when J.J. had some of his best years. And it's just common sense. I mean, obviously, if you put another great player opposite of another one, normally that's recipe for success. But I think another thing that a lot of people are not accounting for is you look at the style of defense that the Cleveland Browns are looking to run. Joe Woods' defense is the San Francisco 49ers mold of you let your front four go and you let your back guys cover. Normally, your linebackers don't mean that much. It's all about the pass rush, and it's all about the secondary. And I've talked to, I'm not going to name names, but I've talked to somebody who works hand in hand with the analytics department for the Browns, and they basically told me, don't expect a linebacker before the third round. So that tells me that they're sticking with this Joe Woods philosophy of you let your front four go, and hopefully you get a back four good enough to give them time. Because I've always said they work hand in hand. If you have a good pass rush, it takes time off of your back four. If you have a great back four, it takes time. Excuse me. It lets time for the defensive line to get there. So they always go hand in hand. But this Browns defense is not nearly as bad as it's this year. It's going to be a lot better. I mean, a lot of people forget you have Greedy Williams, who hopefully will be coming back. And I know people don't like him, and there's a lot of controversy about him. But as a rookie, he played solid. We didn't have solid this year. We had bad depth. We didn't have the guys we needed. That's going to be a good get to get him back. You're going to have Grant Delpit back, who is going to be huge. Would you rather have Andrew Sendejo or Grant Delpit? Sendejo, he wasn't supposed to start. He did what he did, but Delpit clearly has a big role in this defense. You're going to get Ronnie Harrison back. I mean, he had his injury problems, but he also didn't have a full year or off season time to learn the full defense. So as bad as the defense was this past year, it's going to be a lot better, even if J.J. Watt does not come to the Cleveland Browns. So you're looking at a possibility of having Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson, if they want to keep him. If they cut him, they'll save $12 million. But in my opinion, I would keep him, especially if you get J.J. So you're looking at that, Myles and Richardson, and then you could possibly have Andrew Billings, Jordan Elliott competing for that role, and then J.J. Watt as your front D line. Linebacker, we'll see. There's a lot of work to be done there. Jacob Phillips, I believe, is going to be a huge part of the defense next year. We'll see what they do. It's like I said, I don't see the Browns putting a whole lot of focus into linebacker. I see that as a free agency type deal, kind of like what they did, getting Malcolm Smith and B.J. Goodson, filling the holes in that way. The back four I talked about, you're going to have Denzel Ward, Greedy, Delpit, Harrison. And from there, I mean, let's talk about this. Richard Sherman reportedly wanted to come to Cleveland. We'll see what happens there. But the Browns are in an interesting spot. And if J.J. Watt comes to Cleveland, number 26, you might be looking at J.C. Horn, corner out of South Carolina. Great player. And if we don't get J.J. Watt, but we get Richard Sherman, we could be looking at Carlos Basham Jr. So the Browns have options. And, I mean, there's plenty of options regardless. Free agency, they could look at Bud Dupree. Von Miller is supposedly going to be available. So who knows? I mean, it's a long off season, but people are acting like J.J. Watt is not even going to consider the Browns. I think that's laughable. I think when you look at overall what a team can offer you from a money standpoint, a win standpoint, your career, stuff like that, I think Cleveland is the best overall. They can offer him a good amount of money. They can offer him a good team. And, I know people, what are you talking about? Look at last year. I'm sorry. The Browns are a good team now. Get over it. The Browns have a lot to offer J.J. Watt. They do. As far as, is he coming to Cleveland? I don't know, That's his decision to make, not mine. But I'm sick and tired of people acting like he's a done deal to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh don't have money. They don't have money. They're not going to be, they don't have as good as a future as the Browns right now. They don't even know if their quarterback's going to be their quarterback next year. And they don't have a backup either. Yet. Not yet. But it's so annoying because the media, there's a saying, it's Ohio versus the world. And everybody kind of laughs at that. But this is the stuff that we talk about. There's always hate against us. So, if we get J.J. Watt, nice. If we don't, nice. We'll find somebody. That's the best part. Andrew Berry is a genius. And yeah, I'm going to say he's a genius. The Browns are going up. And, if people don't want to recognize that, that's your own problem. But is the Browns a legitimate chance of getting J.J. Watt? Is J.J. going to Cleveland an option? Yes, it is. And you best believe it is. Because I'll tell you what. You look at a team like Green Bay, who's been named an option, or a Tennessee. I think the Browns are a better option than Tennessee. I think the Browns are a better option for him than Buffalo. He's a better option than Pittsburgh. You look at Green Bay, yeah, that'd be nice, but I feel like they need some extra help there. Aaron Rodgers is great. He's obviously taken them this far. Green Bay's front office structure, it's a headache. So, yeah, that could be an option. Chiefs, money. Are you going to take that little? Bucks, money. Are you going to take that little? People act like it's just a done deal that he's not going to come to Cleveland. I think there's actually a good chance he does. I'm just going to float that out there. But it's like I said, people are going to keep doubting, and we're going to keep proving them wrong. That's what Ohio does. That's what we do. So, anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you want J.J. Watt? I do. I think it would be great. I think it's certainly a real possibility. I think he's a guy that we can bring in and have an immediate impact and a big impact. So, let me know your thoughts. We'll see you in the next video.